What's up, everyone? So, 2020, so significant, an arbitrary date we give to the amount of revolutions the Earth has made around the sun that we're aware of, but nonetheless, we treat it with some significance, don't we? I want to talk a little bit about New Year's resolutions. These things have already been talked to death, so I don't want to do the typical wannabe guru life coach bullshit about them. The simple fact is they don't work. And there's a reason for that. If you're making New Year's resolutions, it means you don't already have goals. You're not going to suddenly get into self-development because it's the 1st of January. Really, it doesn't make a difference. You're either already working on yourself or you're not. Now, that's not to say that the 1st of January can't be the date that you begin. It certainly can. But there's nothing inherently different about the 1st of January to any other date, except for perhaps the likelihood of summery or wintry weather, depending on where you live. If you haven't come into 2020 without already having goals and a plan, and without already measuring yourself and journaling, it's probably not going to make a difference to suddenly say, well, it's the 1st of 2020, so now I'll change. What's much more important, I think, is not so much the date, but creating the crisis needed for change. I just saw something by Tim Ferriss, and he says rather than doing New Year's resolutions, you should do a previous review. You should look at 2019, review what really happened and how you feel about that. And I think that is much more productive than trying to do New Year's resolutions. If you look back over the last year, ask yourself, how do you feel about the way you behaved? Get your calendar out, anything that can trigger off your memory about what actually happened, because a whole year is a long time. Last January might feel like a lifetime ago. You may have even forgotten exactly what happened and didn't happen this year. You may get your memories jumbled up with other years. But look back. Get out, most of you are off work at this stage. You've got an hour spare to get a piece of paper and a pen together, or get your laptop open, and just start jotting down notes about what happened over the last year. In particular, noting the significant events, how you reacted to them or created them, and how you feel about the way you reacted to them or created them. I want you to have a look at your overall levels of stress versus satisfaction, of frustration versus accomplishment. How good was this year compared to other years, and why do you make that assessment? Happy New Year's, Tim. So you joined in. And just start asking yourself, how did this year go for you in terms of your own behavior and your own actions? And are you satisfied? When it comes to making a change, what a lot of people don't realize is there first needs to be a crisis. I learned this when I worked with addicts in recovery. They talk about addicts hitting rock bottom. Now, that's not exactly how it works. Somebody can be on rock bottom for years without making a change. What they're referring to is this idea of you hit a point where being the way you are is so painful that you must change. And that's the truth behind transformation. It's not some pleasurable sensation where you're like, I'm inspired by the 1st of January to become a better person. That's not how it works. How it works is you look at the way you have been and go, fuck that, I'm not doing that anymore. This has to fucking change. I'm sick of it. That is shit. That's how real change happens. That's the dirty truth behind self-development, is you have to be really upset with the way you've been. Really upset with it. And the reason most people don't get there is because they don't look. They don't want to know. They don't want to analyze themselves. They don't want to create the awareness of how they've been. Now, that's not to say that you can't be satisfied with yourself. There'll always be something you can work on, but there's, I think, a real line between you're doing something meaningful with your life or you're not. There's a real clear line there. And if you're doing something meaningful with your life, then all self-development is about tweaking and upgrades. You're already good enough. You're just constantly enhancing. But there's no major crisis anymore because you're on track. You've found something rich and meaningful to dedicate your life to. If you don't have meaning and purpose, then you need to be much harder on yourself, I think. It wasn't a New Year's resolution that made me change. It was a honest appraisal of how I'd been living, how I socialized, how I treated myself, how I treated my body, what I was doing for my career, where I was going in life, how I felt about myself, how much I respected myself. I had a good, honest look at all of that, and I didn't like what I saw. I really fucking didn't like what I saw. And that's what inspired my change. It's what inspired me to go do Camp America as the beginning of my very first process of changing myself. It inspired me to start talking to girls. It inspired me to start being more honest and confrontational with people. It wasn't pleasure. It wasn't a happy feeling, that change. It was misery. But the misery came from self-awareness. It came from looking at how I was living, taking responsibility for it and going, is that the best I can do? Am I happy with that as it is? Is that good enough? And the answer was, fuck no, not even close. So when you come into a new year, have a look at the old one and ask yourself, is that the best I can do? Is that the kind of life I want to lead when it's my funeral and people are talking about me? Is that what I want them to talk about? What happened this year? And when I say what happened, I don't mean what happened to you, because that's largely out of your control, though if you look back, you'll see that you brought yourself into those situations. When I say what happened is, what did you do? Or what did you do about what happened to you? Is that the best you can do? And rather than trying to set a resolution like I'm going to quit smoking or go to the gym, just read what you've written every day for the next week or month. Read your review of 2019 and just see what spontaneously occurs to you. You can set goals and stuff maybe later on, but just let yourself get upset about what you did that you're not happy with. For me, when I look back over the last year, what I'm really not happy with is that I spread myself too thin. I do this every fucking year, I have shiny object syndrome. I always want to start new projects and do new things, and I get bored with things after they've started and I don't finish them properly. If I'd been more focused, I would have published my next book by now. But it still hasn't been done because I was doing all this other stuff. So this year, rather than sort of saying I'm definitely going to be more focused, I'm just going to keep reminding myself on how frustrating it is when I'm not focused, and how disappointed I was with my pattern of doing too much or too many different things and not going deep on a few important things. And as I keep reminding myself of that, I'll be frustrated every time I see myself doing it again. And that works for me. That's one of my biggest issues that I kind of solved last year. So one of my accomplishments of 2019 was letting go of fixing people. I've got this pattern. When somebody comes to me with an issue, I translate that as them wanting my support. And so I give it. And my giving is often to solve the problem for them. And that works fine if, in certain situations, if someone's actually asked for me to solve a problem. But most of the time, it's me trying to control them. So over the last year, I really started letting go of that, and that was really put to the test. I had a lot of people around me with big problems that I was trying to solve, and I had to keep just giving them the problems back and saying, you solve it. And that was really hard for me to do, but God, it freed me up and reduced my stress so much, just let go of other people's problems and focus on my own. It was just such a relief. I've still got work to do on that, but the reason I made a shift with that was not really about setting a goal. It was about constantly reviewing my journal and seeing how often trying to fix people made me miserable. And just kept reminding myself of that. So it sounds kind of counterintuitive, but I believe the best motivation for change is negative, not positive. It's about looking at what makes you hurt. How do you hurt yourself? And reminding yourself constantly of how you keep doing this so that when it happens again, you can see it happening as it occurs. And go, fuck, I'm doing it right now. This is me doing it. I know where this leads. Do I really want to continue doing it, or should I change? Anyway, whatever it is you're doing, I hope I can support you with that. We at Brojo, me, Mike, and of course all of you supporting each other. 2020 could be an epic year for you. I mean, it's just an arbitrary date we give to the sun going around the earth. No, the other way around, isn't it? Earth going around the sun. But if you want to make it significant, you can. This could be the year where you finally get your shit together. This could be the year where you finally pull the trigger on that big project. This could be the year where you finally let go of controlling people. This could be the year that you repair your relationship with your family. This could be the year where you finally get your body under your control. This could be the year something big happens for you, and whatever it is, we want to help you with it in whatever way we can. So use this group, use us. Call that shot. What is this year going to be about for you? What's going to make it meaningful? What would make it a good year? What would make it better than last year? And we'll do everything we can to help you achieve that. So we're wishing you all the best. We're not wishing good luck. We're wishing that you will get your shit together and do it. There's no luck required there. And we'll help you do it if we can. Here's to a good year. See you later.